Throwback Thursday is back. Throwback. Today I'm going to talk about one of my favourite tiny little consoles. It's the PC Engine. Look how small this thing is. As a comparison, here is a Super Famicom, also known as a SNES. This is the same design as the UK SNES that we had in this country. Observe the tininess. And this isn't even like a slim or redesigned model of the PC Engine. This is just a PC Engine. This is a whole console. Now, part of the reason why I like this so much is because of its compact size. It's just such a cute little thing. Mine's a little bit yellowed. I think most of them are a little bit yellowed. It's supposed to be like a nice pearl grey sort of colour. It's got a bit beige. It's got a bit IBM on me. Also, you can't really tell in this light. It's very, very white. It's not that white to the naked eye, trust me. But it's such a... Like, I can hold the whole thing in my hand, and it's incredible to me. It's lightweight, and you might be thinking, well, this mustn't be a very, very exciting and powerful console. And with a name like PC Engine, what does that even mean? Well, here's the thing. I want to say this was 1987. Pardon me, I could be slightly off with that, but 1987 is the number that's coming to mind. If I'm wrong, then I'll put something in on the screen here. This thing was so ahead of its time. If you play a PC Engine game, you'll be thinking, well, surely it's released around the same time as the SNES, which was 1990 in Japan, a bit later in the West. But yeah, 1990, 1987, 87. Keep in mind also Famicom 1983 or 4. I think it's 3 because there's games that were released in 1983 for it. This is an 8-bit console, but if you were to play any of the games, or if you even to look at any of the games released for it, you'd think, dang, they're ahead of their time. That's the other reason why I like this console so much, because it was so ahead of its time. You play the games on it and you're blown away by how good they look. I'm amazed this didn't catch on more than it did because of, well, back in these days, I mean, the Mega Drive was just around the corner, and graphics were kind of the massive thing when it came to the 16-bit consoles. You look at the Mega Drive advertising and the marketing for it, and it was all about, hey, our games have got better graphics and we've got bigger cartridges with more data on them. Yeah, that was a selling point. And so, but the PC Engine beat the Mega Drive and the SNES at their own game. Did it years before, and, well, I hesitate to say did it better. I don't know if you'd be able to play Sonic, for example, on the PC Engine. However, I do believe that the PC Engine versions of Clax and Outrun, and maybe Ghouls and Ghosts, I'm not sure on that one, are superior to the Mega Drive versions. Just my opinion. Anyway, you might be wondering, first of all, what the controller looks like, and second of all, what a game looks like. Well, I don't have a controller to hand, unfortunately, that's in storage, but if you picture an NES controller, it's basically just that, but a bit more ergonomic. But the thing with the PC Engine controllers, later revisions, they had built-in turbo, which is brilliant, particularly for games such as Galaga 88, one of my favourites. I've talked about it at length. It's a great game, and this is a fantastic version of the game that, in some ways, I say is better than the arcade version. I don't think overall it quite tops it, but it's a damn good version for the time. And again, if you look at arcade conversions, around the time this system was released, and you look at the versions that were on the PC Engine versus the ones that were on the NES or even the Mega Drive, whew, it was incredible. Until 3D came along, of course. But the games are quite unusual. So, cartridges were the thing. They were en vogue at the time. PC Engine games are on these little cards. You might have been thinking that it came in a CD. No. Not yet, anyway. Now that these little cards, I'm still unclear as to how these things are made because it's like one solid lump of plastic. Those are your contacts there, I won't touch them. And the card, so you've got your console, and the card slots into the front like that. And it's a little bit wobbly. That's not good, is it? You give it a push, and then when you turn the system on, you'll notice it actually holds the game in place, which is quite good. It prevents you from yanking it out in mid-game. So that's a game. I'll leave that in there. That's called a Hue card, by the way, as they proudly put. And in fact, I think it's on the box as well. Yeah. Hue card. It's a Hue card, everybody. Very important that you recognise that. Now, the PC Engine, you'll notice that it has a big old connector at the back. That's for connecting to your TV. I've got some, I've got a SCART connector for that, so that looks really, really nice on my Trinitron. But you could also connect this to a CD-ROM unit. And yes, I believe, again, could be wrong about this, but I believe this was the first system to have a CD-ROM add-on. Remember, not only were big, exciting graphics on vogue at the time, but so were CDs. If you recall, in the 90s, the Mega Drive that had the Sega CD add-on, there were so many other consoles. I mean, the CDI was all about CDs, and there were a few other consoles with a CD add-on. You know, the SNES was going to have a CD add-on. Remember what happened to that? If you're not aware, it became the PlayStation. That's a whole story. And the PC Engine also had an add-on. By the way, for future reference, in case I ever include it in a quiz, for example, it's called a CD-ROM-ROM. There you go. I don't know why. It's spelt CD-ROM squared, but it's pronounced CD-ROM-ROM. Very weird. And you connect it up, and it's like another one of these that sticks to the side. So it becomes a much bulkier system, but it can then take CD-ROMs. And my God, some of those CD-ROM games are just incredible. Again, way outclassing what the Mega Drive could do. There was a great Castlevania game called Rondo of Blood, which is just... It's got like fully voiced cutscenes, for crying out loud. And I know that's not amazing by our standards, but back then, to have that on a home console... My God. Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. So... That's the PC Engine. Lovely, lovely machine. The only trouble with it is the games, well, not only are they hard to get hold of, but there's also not that many of them for the system because it didn't catch on quite as much as the Nintendo consoles and the Sega consoles. So it's unfortunate that there's not many games for the system. And you could probably classify most of the games as hidden gems, simply because they are hidden by virtue of being PC Engine games. As such, I've not played much of the library for the PC Engine, which is quite sad. I've got 2 games. I've got Galaga 88 and I've got Clax, and that's it. And I've played Rondo of Blood. But there's so many more games out there that I want to try. And like PC Genjin, which was kind of the mascot. It was like a baby. It was kind of strange. It wasn't quite Mario, it has to be said, but... I've heard that it's a great little platformer, and there's tons of other games. None coming to mind at the moment, but I would really love to dive deep into the library. The other slight issue is the fact that it was massive in Japan, not so big in the West, and indeed in the US it was called the TurboGrafx 16. Yeah, if you've heard of that, then I'm surprised. But as a result, most of the games are in Japanese only. So to have any hope of playing them, I'd have to get an EverDrive or something like that. Bit of a bit pricey, you know. EverDrive's upper end of the pound mark. Yeah. So maybe one day I'll get a nice Turbo EverDrive, and I can play all the PC Engine games. But until then, well, despite the fact that I haven't played many of the games for it, it's still, as it stands, one of my favourites, and it is a beautiful little console. And that, friends, is Throwback Thursday. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.